Da-da-da-da-da-da. There were so many cool designs in one little place there, Gore. So many cool little SMITE 2s. I don't know which. There was one that was just like, it looked like it was carved out of wood, and that might have been my favorite from that little section. But we're back. We're watching the SMITE 2 Founder Series, EMEA, Swiss version.
Swish is what these teams want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll watch the Swiss bracket. We already got one win under our belts today. That was Titans Reloaded with a 2-0 over Project Win. And as a reminder, here in the Swiss, we did the open qualifiers. The top 16 teams from each region moved their way into the Swiss bracket, which we'll take a look at right now. And that'll further explain exactly how this is all going to shake out. So those top 16 teams from EMEA are on the left of your screen here at 0 and 0. They are all playing games this weekend. If you win, guess what? You go into that 1-0 group up top. If you lose, you go down to 0-1. And then we play those two groups out. If you win and you're in the up top group, you go to 2-0. If you lose, you go to the 1-1. So on and so forth. And really what you're looking for here is in this big old bracket, once you win 3 games, you qualify to the next round. Once you lose 3 games, you are out of this portion, but we'll have a last chance qualifier a bit later on. So Titans Reloaded, they find themselves at 1-0. Project Win dropped to 0-1. We're going to be filling out this bracket over the course of this weekend. But what else do we have for you today? We've got one more EMEA matchup for you, and that's going to be Bills Goons versus Yodie Gang. After that, we'll jump to North America. But EMEA returns tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with Smoke Break. Okay. Discípulos del Chaos. I'm assuming that's Disciples of Chaos. And then
I've just been calling them DDK.
DDK. Scorps versus Giovanni Giorgio will be tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. with NA picking up around 3 o'clock Eastern Time after our EMEA matches both days. So today, it's not over after this one. Gore, we'll have some NA both today and tomorrow.
Yeah, there are a couple. I think the end of the day, both days for NA, I think we're bookending them really well. Today's Garth's Goblins and Employment LARPers, I think that's going to be a fun set to watch. But Funhavers versus Borscht might be my match of the week to pay attention to. So that's one that I'm very, very excitedly awaiting, which I guess that's tomorrow afternoon. So I got a little bit to go there before I get there.
That's our boy Bobby. He's playing tomorrow afternoon on the Funhavers. Dishonored, Sino, Spreen, Inbound, and Stewart. So, pretty talented team there are the Funhavers. But we've got one more EMEA matchup for you here today. Remember, all the matches today are best of 3s. If you win them, you go to that 1-0 portion of our Swiss bracket. If you lose, you go to the 0-1 portion. And then next week, you'll play against other 1-0 or 0-1 teams. Score. Our final match of the day here in EMEA is Yodie Gang versus Bills Goons, and we'll talk a bit about the rosters as we get into P's and B's for Game 1. Yodie Gang, a team that we saw a bit of during our open qualifiers. I guess we had to have because they qualified through the open qualifiers. It's Seagull, French Emperor, Renigan, Ali, and Merca. So some names on that team that you'll certainly remember. And then Bills Goons on the other side, Clino, the other Anutta, Aim Blue, Krakito, and then, of course, Bill. Love the simplistic names. So, again, Gore, I think this one is actually a pretty healthy mix of names that I remember from SEC and SOC of past, really on both teams. Just at a glance, to me, if I'm leaning into SMITE knowledge of past, it seems pretty equal on both sides.
Really, it's the I guess level of play, what we get out of them, what was actually kind of astonishing. I want to say, Yodie Gang. I know yesterday, if you didn't watch SMITE Too Long, didn't watch, then you should watch that.
Too long, I didn't watch.
If that's too long for you, oh no. And it's the compressed version. But Charlie talked a lot about Yodie Gang, and one of the things that Yodie Gang, despite the fact that I think we're low seed coming into this, right? And all of that. Realistically, they're a really good team that just got kind of bracket dipped, right? The randomization just kind of hurt them. They had to face a top 2, top 3 team the first 2 rounds. Like they really did struggle, but only because of that. So I'm really excited to see what they can do, especially against a team like Bills Goons, because I think this is a matchup that is not only much closer for them, but realistically, like you said, because we know a lot of these names, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these players have played with and against each other countless times for the last 5 years, right? And of course, in Smite 1, we've seen there's a lot of transition, item knowledge, god knowledge, the changes, things like that. Smite 2 has a different pace. It has a different, kind of logic behind a lot of the itemization and things like that. So which team has adapted the best is going to be what we answer here.
Couple of the same priority picks that we had in our first matchup of the day. Gore, Bacchus notably on one side, but Susano, Jingwei, and Ama was I don't know about winning. It was a combination that we saw today from Project Win. Soul Cern, so you're still going to get that double hunter composition behind Gore. A lot of initiation for Bill's Goons here. Odin and Bacchus, they want to jump in and can jump back to help peel for their carries should they need. And so it's that adaptable playstyle that I think feels good. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of the barking suspect from earlier today. Ramsey hates being on camera. It's very interesting, but she'll be in and out every once in a while. Anyway, besides the point, my dog just gets me off track. On the other side, Amaterasu, Ymir, and the Morgan Gore.
Yeah.
You have not seen Morgan yet today, and we'll get our first glimpse here in game 1.
I love this because at the end of the day, it means you've got 2 Susanos, maybe you've got 2 Amas, maybe you've got 2 Ymirs. I like the Susano and the Amaterasu a lot more if you're going for your team, but that also means now you've got access to the Odin, which is a massive pick. Bacchus, Bologna, like all 3 of those. There's at least 5 transformations, but probably Odin number 1 in my mind as like somebody to go to. Susano maybe if you're looking at the dive, but the amount of transformations you have make this such a good pickup, and as long as you can play it clean, I have faith that it's going to perform incredibly well.
Yeah.
The thing I'm really interested in kind of caught me, I don't want to say off guard, but just by surprise, is just we don't see a lot of Cern in general. No. And when you've got someone, it's just because, like, if you've got Neath, who admittedly up until recently was doing a lot of damage, there wasn't much of a reason to go for him unless you really wanted extra CC. The polymorph, like, he's got some good damage, but there were just others that kind of did it a little better and a little more concise than he did. He's got more spread out damage, more AoE damage, like I just mentioned, more CC that comes into the mix as well. And so I'm really excited to watch this just because we haven't gotten to see a whole lot of him. I love to see what he's going to provide. And I think if you're looking at a team that's diving, he's got safety, right? He's got his dash. He can root you. He can just polymorph you if he needs to use his ult for it. And so he's got survivability, but that also plays its own hand in a team fight to really stop dive on his team as a whole, not just on him in the lane. So it's going to be fun to watch this kind of transition early on, if there's a lot of pressure put onto the Kern, or if he gets to kind of get away with murder, for more of a, or lack of a better term.
Right, Gore. And the thing is I got to remove my brain from it. But we basically got like these jungle carry performances from Dark in our first set of the day, and so I'm trying to step into this game with a fresh slate and allow other lanes to maybe start to take things over. We'll see if they can do so. Game 1 kicking off now between Yodie Gang and Bill's Goons. As always, the traditional 5-man grouping from both teams, but like ships in the night, it looks like we'll pass by one another with no real pressure on either side. I suppose the unique thing here, Gore, with Bill's Goons is that you've got 3 characters that would traditionally play in support or solo lane. Oh no, they didn't see that auto attack. Okay. The other Anutta is gonna survive for the moment. Ooh,
we might get a fight.
Come on! Breathe on him! Stun him! Block him! Kill him! French Emperor finds first blood. And hopefully, unlike ships in the night, they smack into one another. And it's first blood for Yodie Gang.
And they do exactly. I mean, look, that is the dream setup for a Ymir. And we actually saw this. There's this discussion. And not many players are going to do this, whether you're going to go for your wall or your freeze. Because if you go for a wall there, you can block them off from going to mid. Maybe you get both your kills, but the wall doesn't last super long at level 1. The freeze also doesn't last super long. but it's CC that's guaranteed versus CC that you hope is going to work. I like the freeze here from Ollie. You get the kills, you get it onto an important person, the Susano with first blood, and now Bill's Goons, I mean, you're already fighting. The game's been going for 30 seconds. You're already fighting from a deficit.
Now, what I don't know, and I'm not going to ask you unless you immediately know, then feel free to jump in. If you're standing in the brush and you auto-attack out of it, do you know if that auto, like, well, I said I wasn't going to ask you, and then I did ask you, I'm sorry. Meantime, Ollie's going to get chased down. Uses a little additional shielding here. Krakito's got to be careful, so does Bill. Both down to half HP. All of that to say, in the world where your projectile does appear, Merca playing with fire there nearly let a projectile go when the other Anuta was about to walk around the corner. That would have blown the whole gig, but it doesn't matter. It's first blood. Gives French Emperor an early kill advantage. Teleports in, but does not have the speed to chase down the other Anuta. We are roaring here in game number 1. These teams playing at a breakneck pace. Ollie, a sliver of health. Gotta be 10, 20 HP in the burp, just out of range. Belly flop though. Takes it underneath the tower, and the tower shot won't be enough. Merca also has to step away. Throws enough damage floating in from the flip side. These teams not wasting any time and getting to some fighting.
We need the license, specifically for Bill's Goons. The repetitive Bill from Bill's Night, like his theme song. Just whenever he gets a kill. Because that was impressive, right? It's just making sure that you get there. Going in for that kill seemed a little risky, but when you know that you're not going to really get punished for it, I mean, you know, outside of what, I guess maybe a Jingwei knock-up, something to just delay you onto the tower, I like to see him go for that, and you get a big kill in the duel, and you had mentioned it earlier, but like, getting to see participation from not just the jungle is really nice. And knowing that you have that, I mean, Bacchus, like, play aggressive, use your stun, make them regret being in lane against you in a good way, and really set up this soul to find success and get that farm.
Especially if Bill is going to belly flop in. This EMEA has a chance to freeze and immediately block out a little wall there. It's going to exchange some damage. Gore, that made me think, though, because really, I mean, between a Ymir and a Bacchus, you're breathing on your opponent to try to stun them. The question is, would you rather be burped on by stinky alcohol, humid, warm alcohol breath, which we'll hopefully see here from Bill in a moment. Belly flops up and down, but Ollie has the damage. Or the other, which we maybe will see here, which would be freeze breath, as Ollie walls himself away and gets out. So just the one kill for Yodie gang. That was an odd-numbered fight. It's an unfortunate moment. But ultimately, the question is, Gorge, would you rather be frozen from breath and frozen solid, or stinky alcohol breath freezing you and stunning you where you stand? Would you rather be burped on or frozen on, I guess?
Well, I went to college, so I definitely have been burped on by alcohol breath in the past. Yeah, not great.
But you're so cold.
I can't imagine getting frozen solid feels great, though.
Right. One, you're reeling, like, wow, that was stinky and gross. The other one, your body is in an ice.
Like shutting down slowly, yeah.
Maybe just for life and longevity. You take the belch, but I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, it's a terrible choice. I don't want either.
Yeah, it's a good one, though. I'd never really thought about that in all my years of Smite. Maybe we just haven't seen Bacchus v Ymir too often in the laning phase. At least in Smite 1, we didn't see. It was sort of one or the other was good at any given time. I don't know if we saw them match
a lot of overlap, yeah.
All that often. But do you see it here? And gives Yodie gang an early advantage, the Ymir does. So obviously French Emperor grabs that first blood in the brush over in mid lane. But then Ali and Merca combined for a kill over in the duo lane just a moment ago. And that's built up a nice 1,000 gold lead, first blood, plus a kill, plus a little farm. It's going to stabilize things nicely. But I think folks who wanted to see a very competitive game of Smite Gore will be happy to not only see a double freeze and a double knock-up, but maybe another kill for Merca. The body blocks from Bill are perfect. And that is just enough to get Krakito away. Uh-oh, the wall is simply too good from Ollie. And in rotates the French Emperor, the jungler with 1, the jungler with 2, and a killing spree now in game 1.
And honestly, I don't dislike this fight. The polymorph on Ollie doesn't feel great, but I think French Emperor can get the work done.
Oh, he thought he might have been able to as well. A double pull. Having to leave. You need your ADC to get in this fight now. A little extra damage slows down the Bowlin on their way out. But it's just going to be a simple disengage. And I'm glad I didn't get my thought out before I said it, but I'm going to say it now, even though it's wrong. I was going to say fans of really close games of SMITE are going to be happy that neither of the junglers are just taking over suddenly at the beginning of these games. This is what we saw all morning. Well, now the French Emperor's on a killing spree, finishes up Hydra's Lament. And Gore maybe has eyes for the duo lane.
Yeah, and I've got eyes on French Emperor just in general. The Susano in game 1 today that we watched, a couple hours ago, absolutely ran the show. Bill has been a primary target. Same thing for Krakatoa here.
Wow. French Emperor for that ultimate doesn't have it, but it's a rotation in. Oh man, Seagull all the way over. Hello. I mean, look, if you're in lane and you're playing SMITE, and 4 people show up, you're like, what am I supposed to do here? There's 4 people in my lane. Please do something somewhere else. But that is devastating for Bill's Goons. A sudden 4-man collapse over in duo lane. 2 more kills. But what can you get done elsewhere on the map if you're Bill's Goons? Because your lanes are open. Gotta shove those waves under tower.
What I hate for Bill's Goons is like the duo lane was where they found their success. Like that's where their fights have gone well, where they've got their kills. And I guess just hell hath no wrath, like Yodie gang after their duo lane gets bopped a couple times. I mean, they have just wholeheartedly, wholesale invested over there. A good teleport comes through just to make sure that you get a rotation on time. Odin doesn't have anywhere near the follow-up that the Ama was able to provide. And I admire Renata showing up. The jungle Bologna was something that I will admit I'm just now registering is actually happening. And it's not something I necessarily dislike, but it's definitely not keeping pace with what the Susano is able to put on the map. And unfortunately, while I admire going in against 4 people on left, I don't think I can condone it as a good idea because it did lead to an immediate kill. And it just puts you a little bit further behind. I mean, you're already talking 2 levels in the jungle. We're only 8 minutes in. That is a pretty big lead for French Emperor, on top of being 5-0.
Yeah, it's interesting, Gore. And again, these teams fight so often. And especially Gore, in like SEC, EU games in the past, you have so much time to get into the nuance of the game. These teams are fighting early and often. Easy setup for Bill's Goons in mid lane. Aim Blue and the other Anutta. Work out a kill there, but a knockup from the French Emperor. Wow, not enough damage. I mean, you had plenty, but I think the concern of the Bologna rotating in enough to keep the French Emperor at bay, but a 2-level lead in the jungle. Low health marks. I wonder how he's going to play this because, yeah, you got plenty of damage. That Hydra's chugs too much. One more auto. Oh, go in.
Go in.
Yes, take it. Grabs the kill and gets out. And he actually may be able to turn this on to Aim Blue. Aim Blue pulled in and deleted. French Emperor 2v1 and picks them up both.
I mean, look, if you're playing for the highlight reel, French Emperor's getting it done. I mean, that is exactly what you want to see. I mean, and this goes back, I'm going to make an anecdote that is actually over 10 years old at this point, but there were way back in the beginnings of SMITE 1, a couple of teams, but specifically a guy that most people will recognize the name of, Zapman, on a team called Dignitas, who dive tier 2s, and his mentality was as long as it looks good on the big screen, then it's worth doing. And that's what French Emperor is playing like right now. I mean, it looked good. I don't think he's making it for the highlight reel. He's just getting the kills, but he's getting the job done, and he's looking good while doing it. And now you're at a really awkward spot. I mean, he's 7-0-1. Admittedly, if you wanted to see somebody that wasn't the jungler popping off, maybe you're a little disappointed, but realistically, French Emperor is leading the way, and this is great from the team because you've got such a big lead. Utilize it while you can.
Well, this could be a game-breaking fight already at the 10-minute mark. Gold Fury pulled by Yodie gang. French Emperor's got it all to do. But it's Renegade on the transformation into the Fed Susano. 2 Susanos is simply too much. Bill's Goons pull back just the 1 kill. But this is the least surprising outcome ever, Gormizer. It's a transformation from Renegade into Susano. It's a French Emperor on the actual Susano. And it's a 3-for-1 trade around the Fury. You will trade your support for 3 every single time. Yodie gang, come up big with the fight.
Yeah, if anything, that's just like, that's literally Ollie's job, is to die there so that the team can do stuff like that. And then look, you're 8-0-2. If Morrigan was transferring into pretty much anybody else, I think I'd be mad about it. Like,
Yeah.
I think that is just hands down, it's the easiest thing. Klino is the only other one in the lobby right now that I think that you could maybe excuse. And yeah, it's just because then they're trapped for French Emperor Seagull and eventually Merca, who's 009, by the way, which is insane to have as a Jingwei early on, 11 minutes in. But you just lock them up for the rest of your team to clean up. So it's either you help clean up or you make sure the team cleans up. And now, man, you're starting to look ahead. You're looking fantastic. You're feeling comfortable. You know, part of these jungle buffs should be yours. It's surprising they haven't gotten a tier 1 so far. But all the pressure they've been putting on the map has been around the neutral objectives, right? It's been around getting gold farm. It's been around getting buffs. And so now being able to slowly progress forward with the lead they've accrued doing just that, I won't be surprised if they're able to lead that into some of these towers, make a couple more fights happen, and potentially open up a fire giant when it spawns in a few minutes.
And I didn't realize this. I will give a silver lining. Bill's Goons secure the Fury in that previous fight. So you lose 3-1,
Yes,
but you at
that's
least get the
huge for
gold
them.
Fury. So a small moment that feels a bit more impactful, keeps things from being worse than they otherwise could be. And I think you start to see some changes unfold, especially builds-wise. I mean, who am I kidding? We're going to fight here again, and my job is to talk about it. Bill's Goons just getting crushed over here in the duo lane. A simple, clean, easy double wall from Ollie. Shielding necessary, but it delays the inevitable. Finally, Merca notches a couple instead of just the assist. 2-0-9, now every lane just falling apart at the seams here for Bill's Goons. And Gore, I'm going to make this point now, and I maybe have a chance. It feels like week 1, everybody in the game, except for maybe supports, were stacking. Like, even then, they still might be stacking Thebes or something like that. But it's everyone is not going Devos. Everyone is not going Transcendent stuff. Like, this hi-rez Tekko Kagi build, we've seen now in 3 out of 3 jungle carry performance games today. And it seems like just such an early and fast power spike that has been very difficult to keep up with. And then Aim Blue is stacking. Gone Transcendence, Book of Thoth. It's going to be a while before this CERN would stand and deliver. So maybe you're already getting into this late game mentality just the way the builds have gone here early on.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at it. Merca is finished with stacks, right? If you're going to stack, well, admittedly, when your team's doing this well, you're going to finish them fast. But for Aim Blue and others to still be looking for those power spikes, meanwhile you have them online, it really does just make it feel unfortunate, because what are you going to do? I mean, to fight back here, you've got to go for the Jingwei, but you've got 2 collapsing on.
Merca is helping their team play with their food. Too many strong members of Yodie gang that are here. Any fight's gonna be a bad fight. Divine, my God, for French Emperor. 9 in a row now at 14 minutes. Unreal. Great out of the jungle for Yodie gang, and it's sort of my fault. I said, hey, you know, the way things have gone early in this game, the junglers aren't getting super fed. And then French Emperor rolls in, makes a 2v1 play over in mid. Now everything is just kind of collapsing. It'll be another one here for French Emperor, or at least Yodie gang. He's gonna get it. Seagull this time around. That was a bit of purification. Keeps Yodie gang on the forefront. But you can see how desperate core Bill's Goons are for kills at this point. Other than Nutta said, I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna take a kill with it. I'm gonna get that 3-kill shutdown on the Seagull on my way out.
Honestly, I'm surprised that Yodie gang even bothered with the fight, because Gold Fury's up and they're going to get it now, but you probably could have progressed all of that without the death. I don't know. You get a few more kills, so it's probably worthwhile for you no matter what. And you can see, I mean, Ollie is just playing for the team right now and playing it so well. 10-0-4, 3-0-12. You had mentioned that you get the 1 death now on the Seagull, but when everybody looks good and Ymir is really able to kind of bring forth a lot of the CC that your team needs, I'm not worried about massive Ama ults. All the Seagull's able to provide, right? The damage is there. And unfortunately, on the other side, I mean, you were talking about the hi-rez, Tekokage, like kind of power spikes we've been seeing from the jungles, and that rush, the speed with which they get it. I'm looking at the Bologna jungle, and I mean, look at the damage. Admittedly, there's also a 4-level difference, which isn't going to help, but you're just not getting a lot done there.
Well, this is maybe one of the fights with the fewest question marks we've seen in the last few days. 10k gold at 15 minutes. Yodie gang do pick up their first Fury of the game, and now over to Fire Giant at the 15-minute mark. When you're questioning at 16 minutes whether or not you can step up around the FG, and if, okay, is losing the FG, like, you're looking at that, you know, when you're watching a football game and you look up your team's score, there's like the win probability graph down at the bottom with whatever their score is at that point in the game.
Yeah.
Got to be 95% for Yodie gang at this point. So the question for Bill's Goons is, all right, is giving up Fire Giant going to make that 95% a 97? Or is stealing it but then losing all 5 members of our team going to tilt it further in their favor? They're doing the quick math right now, and maybe going to send one into the FG, but Ollie able to confirm it. Maybe the lesser of two evils is just send Clino in, see if he can get a kill, get a steal, but then the rest of the team has got to get out. Bill won't be so lucky. It's French Emperor, Immortal now with 11 in a row at level 17 at the 17-minute mark. Send Rakiko over to the left side to split push out some towers and just try to get some gold off the map.
Yeah, honestly, that might legitimately be the best play they've made in the last few minutes, is just let the Soul split push, let Soul farm. I mean, Soul is down only 2 levels technically for lane matchup. Other Nutta needs to follow suit. You're 5 levels down. Like, it's that awkward moment where they kind of wanted to go for the fight around the Fire Giant, and I almost agree with it. Except for the level deficits. I think if it was even just 3 levels, I think I'd be like all in on it. Go for the attack, go for the steal. Even if you lose, it's not the end of the world. But to go for the fight, to be this far down, and to lose it all anyway, is just kind of another thing that set you back, right? Another trip along the run while you've been going. And so Soul getting farm is legitimately one of the best things that they've been able to do, but they just need to focus on that for everybody. I mean, gold is out of hand. You're looking at almost full tier 3s, if not 2 tier 3s in some instances over. You're talking kill diff, fight diff, everywhere. You just gotta hunker down and take what comes to you as opposed to looking for any more.
Agreed. Fortunately, what's headed your way if you're Bill's Goons, it's a world of hurt. 3 tier 2s. But Gore, we talked about it this morning. What you cannot afford to do is overextend, lose one member of your team when you're trying to make a defense happen. I'm not sure the other Anutta, thought that a full 5-man collapse was just around the corner. Used Eagle's rally to get out, but safety was only so far away. Now 4v5, and what was already a devastating situation for Bill's Goons means free Phoenix over in the mid lane, and a tier 2, and maybe the other Phoenix score. This 20-second death timer is going to feel like an eternity for Bill's Goons. Their jungler is left in the death screen.
And realistically, especially with Fire Giant, you know, you want to go back. This is what I was talking about earlier, where you just get so much done if you're able to apply that pressure. You knock down so much here, and you might even be able to leverage it even more. And this is the thing, the winners get winninger, right? Where you're going to extend your gold even further. You're going to be able to step up, knock down pretty much any objective you want. I mean, you still have plenty of time on this Fire Giant to get aggressive. And now you've got even more power spikes coming in the form of items that are online. And the thing that I'm just looking at French Emperor more than anything, but you've just got ability on ability on ability. I mean, you're already getting rewarded from Tekokage or Kagi to use your abilities. And I feel like now with the the Crusher, the Titan's Bane, things like that, it just
It all
makes
works
it
so well together.
so much cleaner, and you're just gonna hit so much harder. I feel like there's not a lot of wiggle room on the other side to fight if French Emperor is there. If you can get rid of French Emperor or distract him,
Bye-bye.
it'll look great.
Bye-bye. The potential one tap. Let's see that chunk damage. A couple abilities, half HP. Hey, Eagles rally. There you go. 12-0 for French Emperor. Again, I'm not gonna say a moment like that is game. Like that's not the moment that lost this game for Bill's Goons. There were about 12 of them that led up to this point. Which really sucks when you want to try to make a defense and you're down to one less player. But Krakito this whole time, pushing down the left side, has finally made their way to the tier 2 tower. And that'll pull Seagull back over to the left side of the map. Tier 2 tower will not be completed. Seagull actually on the chase here. And that is one speedy Amaterasu. And unfortunately for Bill's Goons, they're going to lose their carry over on the left side of the map. These are always the tough moments as casters score. You got to leave some intrigue in these games, but there's not this build-up, this one big build-up to one big 5v5, because it's just a pick-off here and there from Bill's Goons that has just left it lopsided. And the second fire giant of the game soon to spawn. And maybe the last fire giant of the game now with 3 exposed phoenixes. Yes. Nope, there is no unless. Nothing. Because French Emperor is in. Has the Typhoon ready to go, dodges out the belch, teleports back. Ollie through with the 1 stun, Talisman of Purification reaches across the team for Bill's Goons. And every bit of disengage used to get Bill's Goons out alive.
Yeah, and this is, again, and we're going back to what I was saying a lot in games 1 and 2 of the first set. Can't afford to get picked. Like, if you are going to fight, you cannot be alone like this. You have to make sure that you're in a position to get away and that you can stay alive, because your team cannot win at a deficit in numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, you're sort of fizzling here. Godlike. I haven't seen one of those in a while. But it's the case here for French Emperor. A masterclass on a Susano carry game. Killing spree. Level 20 it has been for the last few minutes now. Fire Giant Gore, I think, might just seal the deal here. 30 or so seconds on 2 members of Bill's Goons. Now, remember what we saw earlier today was, especially just the one ban, is, are you taking this? You might have to, right? You might, if you're not banning it, because this is a real solo carry style experience. I think Ollie's had a great game on the Ymir. Everyone has played their role for Yodie gang. Something's got to be done about this Susano though.
Yeah.
This isn't a take away the Ymir to stop enabling. This just feels French Emperor in this game. Yodie gang right there behind him. And all the rest are benefiting. A killing spree right at the end for Seacom. The 15th kill of the game. Won't ever make it, because Yodie gang have wandered into the Titan room and have taken game number 1 at 30-5.
Yeah, there's... Whew, man, it's really hard to figure out where to highlight. So there were early rotations to the duo lane that really helped get Yodie gang ahead, right? That 4-man rotation was pretty much the beginning of the end, right? 4 show up and just shut down as much as they can. And from that moment forward, Yodie gang just kind of hammered Bill's Goons into the ground everywhere they could find them, anywhere they had the rotations. And I have to agree with you, right? If I'm looking at what went wrong this game and what you can change, I think it's kind of twofold. I think that the Susano was a problem because Susano could, I mean, tons of damage. I feel like this build for Susano really benefits him, right? You're already talking about a god that benefits from throwing out as many abilities as possible, weaving in and using like your auto attacks in between. So for French Emperor, like it feels like it clicks incredibly well, and he's already like top of the top. And then on the other side, you are also running Bologna Jungle, which didn't have the same power spikes, didn't have the same rotation power. And so by the time French Emperor had like 3 or 4 kills, you were already 2 or 3 levels behind if you're other Anetta. So I feel like maybe ban or grab the Susano and maybe as much as I love Bologna, maybe sweep that one under the rug and forget about it for a little while.
Gotta stop saying that I think the match is gonna be close, because I've been wrong 3 times in a row here today. Yodie gang behind the efforts of French Emperor absolutely dominate in game number 1. It's time to go back to the drawing board for Bill's Goons prior to game number 2, which I'll have for you right after the break.
Immortals have invaded my realm, and my children rebel against me. Dark days these are. But my strength shall bring resolution, and my lightning, illumination! Zeus!
Bellona.
Anubis.
Sarah.
Kukulkan. Saturn.
That's right. SMITE has partnered with Starforge Systems to bring you not only one of the best quality gaming PCs in the galaxy, but also some that look pretty darn cool, if I do say so myself. Pick from any of the array of gods that you just saw on that ad. And you know what they say? If you look good, you play good, and if you play good, you're going to be ranking up. And you certainly will be looking good if you pick up one of these Starforge Systems SMITE branded PCs, available now at starforgesystems.com/products/SMITE. Gore, I got to admit, I think cable management alone is
That's exactly what I was thinking.
maybe worth the money, because my PC is a web of chaos and confusion. And that was looking clean.
For the longest time, and actually the glory of these is like if you're really good at cable management, if you're not me or Dave, you can't just get the case and you can do your own thing.
That's
if
right.
you want. I have had to aim for something somebody else has put together for a long time because of that exact thing. And it's just like it is so nice and it's sleek and it looks so good. The one we have in the studio that has like the Scylla panel in it, it looks fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I am eternally jealous of everyone who has one.
Gore, you can have one if you head on over to StarForgeSystems.com.
You're right.
Look, and I'm thinking the French Emperor may have been playing on a Starforge Systems PC here in Game 1, because that was unbelievable. I thought we saw some carry games from Jungles this morning, and we did. This was something else entirely. Undying 14-0 and 8. And make no mistake, I mean, it's a good game from everyone else on Yodie Gang. That 6-0-17 on Merca is facilitated by the French Emperor. Same with Seagull. And again, Ali. Everyone played their role. But the French Emperor, Gore, was the spearhead that everyone else followed behind to find.
Oh, yeah. And it really is, I have to give props to Ollie, because I think that there was a lot of plays early on that Ollie was just absolutely really facilitated and made happen. And, there was a point where I even pointed out, like, Merca was 009, right? So got 6 kills to pick up to that. Went 6-0-8, I guess, after that moment. But realistically, it's again, that collapse on left in duo when 4 people rotate in. You've got the duo lane v duo lane. French Emperor runs in from the jungle. Then you've got the teleportation from Seagull that came through. And then suddenly you're just able to dive. You get these kills. And unfortunately, it was right after that. That was when we saw another run in kind of after everyone else was dead, and just another kill ends up happening. And that really feels like what got things rolling. And specifically, that's where it shifted from, hey, this is a team game, to French Emperor's got a lot of kills now and is just kind of running around wherever they want without worrying about whatever anybody else says about it.
And that always opens up the conversation of the dynamic of SMITE 2 picks and bans right now, just because of the number of gods and the availability. You only ban away one god, right? And we'll see what that priority looks like for Bill's Goons and picks and bans for Game 2. Because Gore, in SMITE 1, when you had 100 and God knows 20 or whatever gods by the end of SMITE 1, you had 5 bans, and it was 3 right off the bat, and then 2 later on, or is it 2 and then 3? At any rate, you could ban out a couple. At this point, you got one swing. You are swinging once. You are banning one thing, and then after that, it's all pick and ban strategy. Can you pick away picks? that the other team might otherwise want. Susano seemed obvious here. Susano was the thing doing the things in game 1. And that'll be the ban here for Bill's Goons. And there are still plenty of carry jungle options. So we'll see in game 2, is this just French Emperor being that good right now on that pick? Or is it a bit more transcendent? Regardless of that fact, Hecate will be that first option for Yodie Gang.
Honestly, I'm still a big fan of Hecate, and I like seeing her locked in. I think earlier we didn't get to see her in her best circumstances, right? When your team's falling behind, you can't really do anything, especially with an ultimate that is team-oriented, right? Pull them all into one spot. Yeah, if you have the damage for it, maybe you can get something done, but you really would like some backup. I feel like with Yodie Gang and the way they've been playing, I'm more excited to see what this Hecate is going to be able to do. But I do, and I said this last time, so I will take it with a grain of salt, but I really like the top 2 from Bill's Goons. I think Odin, Bacchus are 2 really big powerhouses. They can control the flow of a fight. They can really, wreck house when needed and, dominate their own lane or facilitate kills for their carry, whichever one ends up happening. When it comes down to what we saw last time, I think that the game got out of hand pretty quick. But I think Bill's Goons, draft-wise, are doing exactly what they need to at the beginning to make sure that things line up.
And I think we're seeing now the confidence in French Emperor's god pool in general. There was not one, because Loki is that typical answer, right? If you want the playmaking style solo jungler, then Susano or Loki have been the answers. Yodie Gang had 3 options to grab that pick, and the Ymir. And I think Yodie Gang probably smart enough here to realize, all right, Bill's Goons have already gotten Odin, they've already gotten Bacchus. Not really a great spot for a Ymir to slot in there.
Glory to Athens!
Jungle, or something like that. But maybe there already was a jungle pick for French Emperor in this draft, because it's an Athena final pick. So Jingwei, obviously duo, Hecate mid. I mean, this maybe is an Athena jungle Gormizer to pair with the Ymir. Alternatively, you could put the Athena in solo and the Ama over in the jungle. But then a pretty straightforward draft on Bill's Goons side of things. Not too many question marks on that side of your screen.
Yeah, I'm really, again, if I'm looking at just draft, I'll admit I'm being partial to Bill's Goons draft. I think the Morrigan, right? Anybody who pops off, you're now free transformation. But even if not, that's double Odin, double Bacchus, an Ama on your team suddenly. And so I think there's a lot of fight potential for it. I also love global presence from Neath, the way that Loki can rotate around the map, find rotations, things like that. I really like Bill's Goons draft as a whole. And I think if you are going to swap around, if you are going to go from that Bologna in the jungle to something like the Loki, I think this is the right way to do it, right? To shift over and to make those moves into a position where now you're on someone who we've already seen. We've got evidence today that Loki can carry from the jungle, but you also add in the Neath from that. You add in a Morgan to that. I think that you get a good mix of damage, DPS, global presence, and engage, which is something that while they had it last game, they were almost always on the back foot. Now I'm hoping to see them be the ones that are chasing down more than getting chased.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious with the pacing of what's going to happen here in Game 2, because what worked so well for the French Emperor was on hitting that 2-item, really it was 1 item. The Hydras alone was enough on the Susano, but Hydras plus Teko Kage was like, all right, game over. So pacing, I think, will be interesting here, or whatever you put French Emperor on in the jungle. Is that going to slow things down so heavily, or is there a style of build that French Emperor likes that can keep up that pace? Because I mean, you just ran over Bill's Goons. I'm hard-pressed to find a reason to pick a slower composition in Game 2, but that may end up not being the case. I like that core, though. I think I've seen so much from Ymir today, and I've seen such good Ymir play today that I'm starting to be a bit partial towards that pick. I think that Bandolero was the player in our first set that looked really good on it. And I think we gave Ollie due credit for Game 1. I mean, a lot of it was French Emperor, but you always run that risk of a feeding Ymir game, and we did not see that from Ollie. Did not give back any unnecessary kills. So I think maintaining some of that consistency, especially over in the dual lane, something to certainly lean on in otherwise a draft where you and I are trying to figure out where things go and how the pace is going to look. So Ymir, I think, is a good cornerstone for this draft.
Yeah, no, I think the Ymir play today, and it goes to what we were talking about again yesterday on Smite Too Long Didn't Watch. If you didn't, you can go to youtube.com/SmiteBro and watch now.
I didn't watch.
Ymir in the right hands is really good, and if you have a player that's confident, look, you have freezes at level 1 that can set up a lot, and if we see another like 5v5 kind of like we did at the beginning of game 1, that could be deadly. But you can go for your wall, you can go, to lock people down in the jungle, to block off their paths. There's a lot of options for you, and a good Ymir can really create many paths for people to walk down.
All right, let's answer some of these questions. Game 2, and what could be the final game of our EMEA day here today between Yodie Gang and Bill's Goons. Best of 3s all weekend long, and essentially for the next 5 weekends, I think. Are all best of 3s. At least for this weekend, for sure, though. Here in the Swiss bracket. Any games in the Swiss bracket will be best of 3s. So, Yodie Gang, that 1 game advantage. Again, we're going to do this grouping thing. Who was it? Was it Other Anuda who got caught out? I can't remember. I think it was them who got caught out for first blood in the last game. I got to imagine you're not stepping forward into the mid lane in the same path you did last time. But Yodie Gang are not in the same spot as they were last time. And how long do you keep up the bait is the question. Not long enough is the answer. Teams will sort of disperse out, and no first blood for us this time. As fun as it was to watch, Yodie Gang could have hung out in that brush for the entirety of the first portion, and just now would have run into a couple members of Bill's Goons, but got to get to the lane. And invades aside, these teams won't clash too heavily. So we can answer some questions about these drafts. It's going to be French Emperor on the Amaterasu jungle, going up against the Loki jungle on the flip side. Pace. That is my question. That's what I want to see. I want to see French Emperor get off to a hot start because you got so much self-mental momentum after the way game 1 went. I do not like breaking that momentum in what could have been a very easy, let's get back and let's get after it. French Emperor, I want to see keep up that pace in the early portions here of game 2.
Yeah, I'm looking towards this because I feel like, of all things, first off, that's a really good taunt to get a lot of really good damage. That was kind of unexpected, if I'm being honest. But I'm a fan of Ama in the jungle. I feel like this Ama in the builds right now, you can facilitate it into something pretty amazing. I just think that you need to...
That's the issue. I mean,
yeah, not do that.
Other Anuda on the Loki, on that solo style. Strong jungler runs down French Emperor. I'm not saying it can't work. French Emperor could turn around and get 8 straight kills. Clearly, this is the game plan from Yodie Gang. You had all the opportunity in the world to pick up the Loki, which is the typical answer with Susano. Chose not to, but now it's a chance for Other Anuda to get a 2nd kill on this Loki. Seagull, immobile, gonna get stunned. Clean up, for the tower will return a shot and at least return a kill here. But that's the pace I was hoping to see from Yodie Gang's jungle, but it's Loki and Other Anuda, 2 affected kills in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, realistically, and I wonder if we're going to learn this the old-fashioned way with the Loki, but I need to see the Ama get hands-on.
Has to be a kill here, but not. Wow, just miscommunication there from Yodie Gang. And it looks like Ali just stepped too far forward, way too much damage on the return from Krakito, and this was some of the downfall of that early game. Ama is you just can't answer these ganks quite the same. Krakito gets out alive with a kill and an assist, despite the numbers disadvantage over in duo.
I mean, realistically, like, this is an insanely good start. After the first game, this is maybe the dream start that you could have asked for.
Everyone's
to
got
be
a
up
killer and assist.
4-1. Yeah, making sure to set your team up. I do want to see, I mean, look, I'm looking at Other Anuda now, because we've seen what a Loki can do. We've seen what a kind of solo carry jungle can do. And as much as I'd like to see, and I think we should expect a little bit from the Neath, I like the Bacchus and solo as well. I think a lot could happen over here to really disrupt things. I think that if you look at this Loki's rotations, especially right now, that's going to be the thing that makes the breaks.
This is just clinical from Other Anutta, the forgetful game 1. Getting dismantled by French Emperor, who at level 3 wants to return a kill, misses the chunk damage. And slowed. Doesn't get knocked up though. French Emperor very speedy here, just needs the one last auto attack. Other Anutta won't escape despite the best efforts of Quino. Gore, that had to happen. Had to have it for
Yes.
French Emperor there. Had to have it. Other Anutta has started to run the pace of this early game. Completely flipping the script from game 1. French Emperor needed it. French Emperor gets it and closes up that XP gap a bit.
The thing that I'm gonna keep my eyes on are how often they can do exactly that. If you can shut down the Other Anutta, like we were talking about what I think it was 3-0, and at that point, you know, you're starting to feel a little less confident. But when it gets to, you know, the 5-0s, 7-0s, things like that, that's when you really have a target painted on your back, as well as the fact that you have someone you can point at as that's the guy who's leading the way. So if you can get Other Anutta down every time Other Anutta also gets a kill, it's not going to spiral as out of control.
Right now, over in duo, Other Anutta over in solo picks up the kill, and this is now another gotta have it for Yodie gang. You have spent a lot of time and energy over here on left. You're gonna come up empty-handed again. This duo lane has been under an onslaught. Bill's Goons has, but Krakito and Bill keep themselves on the map. Great start to this game 2 for Bill's Goons. Moments where you were seeing the kills snowball for Yodie gang in game 1 have come up empty-handed now in game 2. But is there a dazzling offensive around the corner? Sure is. Krakito does not survive. French Emperor wants to start to build up some steam. Does so with a kill, but a rotation from 2 members of Bill's Goons over to the left side of the map. Could spell danger, and Athena ultimate should be enough. And up and out it is. Clean play from Yodie gang on the return kill.
The thing that and maybe this is musings for a picks and bans, I like seeing some of the kills that are coming back, but I'm wondering about the scaling of Yodie gang. I feel like I know Bacchus is going to get stronger. I know the Odin's going to get stronger. I know that the Nice is going to get stronger. On the other side, Loki's going to do nothing but get stronger. So I have to question, you know, like the Ymir. Like, what is the Ymir going to provide? The Athena in conjunction with the Amma. Like, where are they going to find their fights? Where are their damage spikes? Those are kind of the questions that I need to see answered by Yodie gang. Because as of now, I'm more or less just left scratching my head about, you know, the decision making in the draft. I know I've seen in a non-competitive setting what a really, really strong Amma jungle can do. And so it's just trying to see that applied here when you've got a very coordinated team on the other side. That's what I'm going to keep my eyes on, which admittedly it's not changing anything, right? We're still looking at the junglers. It's just now I'm scratching my head about one.
And it's an axe into a book of Thoth for French Emperor. So again, I'm not dissecting this on a is that a good or bad build level.
Yeah.
I'm talking in my brain on a mental level. I want to shove pace again in game. I want to pick something that is just gonna. I just went what 17 and what was he 14, 15, whatever 19 and 0. I want to shove that again in game 2. I don't want to harp on this too heavily. Could still turn around and apparently it's gonna scale later on in the game, so it could still win. It helps out with the kill here.
Yeah,
I'll eat my words
that
right away. Goodness, I am off it. Everything I'm saying is wrong. But you need more of it now. Now it's time to pick up the pace. You got your dazzling offensive. You got some stacking going. Let's see if you can take this game over once again. All right. What's the point?
You're the living embodiment of Caster's Curse today.
All right. What's the point, bro? Why am I here? What? I mean, what's the point? Gold Fury definitely gonna get taken. Okay, they're gonna back away from the Gold Fury. I don't know, bro. Yeah, French Emperor. I'm sorry, my guy. Pick it up. Knock him down. 4-1. Certainly not a slow start. You're doing just fine. But could even be doing better. Certainly, French Emperor's not gonna get a kill here. No way. It's gonna be Other Anutta and Aim Blue getting things done. Unless French Emperor, nope, running for the hills, and I stand by it. I'm a god, and I'm smart. I don't know.
I think, yeah, no, this 2v2, you've got the nice back and forth. Merca goes down, you got a little return, but that's another great kill for Bill's Goons. And now that Gold Fear, I mean, you saw they pulled it. Falling back away from that, maybe opens it up, well, not maybe, opens it up, goes the other way. And now you're talking about a pretty comfortable lead. This is much more back and forth tug of war style than what we've gotten to see in pretty much any of the other games that we've seen today. But the thing that again is standing out to me is the fact that you saw Yodie gang pretty heavily invest on the duo lane gank. So they didn't have a lot to work with during that fight. Bill's Goons come in refreshed and ready. They've got their cooldowns on lock. And so when we haven't gotten to see the full 5-on-5 with an equal fight just yet. And realistically, like you said, it's not a bad start on either side. Bill's Goons have been doing well, and I think they've been taking advantage of their advantages where they can, being able to find that Gold Fury, despite the fact that you just had a pretty big gank go the other way around, and being able to find some kills, and I'll call it a shutdown kill because it was, what, 4-1? So making sure that French Emperor doesn't get to run away on this Ama, despite showing that it does have the ability to, if need be, is going to keep it level-headed. But realistically, you're not looking at a big gap between these two teams. You're not looking at the map state changing too drastically. I think that this is a really good spot for both Yodie gang and Bill's Goons to continue pressing, and I like what what Bill's Goons are doing with the pressure they've attained. The downside is they're doing it a little slower, right? Yodie gang say, okay, let's step up, let's take a tier 1, and they actually get it done.
And Bill's Goons catch out Yodie gang over in mid. They're doing their best to on the rotation over from left. But no, Yodie gang just skirt away through the mid-side jungle. There's actually a bit of a chase going on now. Clino silenced and frozen, but Daily Flop comes back up in time. And the Athena rotation through here will make this a 2v2. Dazzling offensive. French Emperor. They can be eat my words all game long, but Bill saving me a bit. As Renegade is rotated over as well. Suddenly Yodie gang with wind in their sails. Double wall, it's perfect. And Yodie gang reap the rewards. How about it from Ollie? Taking over the team fight and hand delivering a few kills to the rest of Yodie gang.
Yeah, I gotta give props to I mean, just so much there, but the wall, and maybe I'm just a sucker for a good Ymir play, but my God, that was perfectly placed. Again, to the point, I'm gonna even bring in like mental warfare. There was just enough of a gap that you could think that maybe you could make it through, but not enough that you can actually make it through. So now you're even more devastated when you die. You tie up the kills, you get pressure on a tier 1 and right. I mean, if you're looking at Yodie gang turning things around, that's the way to do it. And we're still talking about them stacking things up. Like, this isn't even full power spike Yodie gang just yet. Same thing for Bill's Goons, or actually maybe the opposite, because last game we were talking about the fact that Bill's Goons were still left stacking when a lot of people on Yodie gang had already finished. Now it's the other way around. You get people on Yodie gang who are still stacking while nobody on Bill's Goons has gone for those items. Yep. But those power spikes are going to be pretty massive when they do finish those stacks. And they've been farming up well enough that, again, not a huge deficit. In fact, in a lot of places, they've got an advantage. We're talking 2 levels for French Emperor over the other Anutta. Like, this is a really good spot to be in. Let's just make sure we all rub it in. Everyone in chat, just point and laugh at Dave.
Look, I'm a silly chair 1 boy. I say what's going on the screen, and I stick my head outside just for a moment. And I say, you know what? Maybe the pace isn't quite as fast as what we saw in the previous game. And a random car drives by and throws a pie at my face. The moment I stick my head outside, I want to breathe a little fresh air, I get crushed. So you know what? I'm going to hide back in my little hidey hole. I'm never going to stick my head outside ever again. And I'm going to stick to saying what's happening on the screen. And I'm going to do nothing else forever again for all time. That's the only thing I'm okay at. French Emperor, dazzling offensive damage. Gets another one. On another one. 3, 4, and 5 on the Loki. 7, 3, and 1 on the Amaterasu. And the Gold Fury pulled for Yodie gang. Seagull is back behind Bill's Goons here. There's going to be a collapse imminent from Yodie gang. What can the Ymir get done? Slow, some damage, and some coverage for Yodie gang, who have now flipped this game around, have overtaken the gold deficit. have about a 4,000 lead of their own.
Caught that one, unfortunately for Seagull. Not the wall play that we were hoping for, but doesn't really matter. Clino. Well, I admire the attempt. I admire the want, the will. It's just making it happen and not dying in the same process is going to be very difficult. So I like the retreat overall from Bill's Goons. Not like you have a lot of options. And realistically, looking at the team fight, pretty much all of the ults were available. French Emperor did not have theirs. I think Merca's also just came off cooldown, but there was not a lot of room for Bill's Goons to fight there and to feel comfortable. I don't even know if you can step up under the tier 1. I guess you have just enough to really start the fight.
French Emperor is so fast. Finishes up Gem of Focus and Speed Buff and Amaterasu anyway, which is partially probably why we're seeing these fights just get absolutely run down. My dude is zooming around the map. Stack up some of that movement speed, chase him down. No one's getting away from the Amaterasu. Not when they're stacked up like this. Bit down from Bill. Gotta be a kill, but an airstrike up and over. Could chase down one on the backside of the fight. A belch through, stuns Merca, but Clino's alone. Has no help, it's only the tower, but a dash away. Good enough this time for Merca. Clino survives, but in the back line of the fight, Yodie gang has still found that damage. This is where that movement speed's gonna pay off for French Emperor. In on the collapse. Stack it up and chase him down. Yodie gang underneath their tier 1 tower. Come up big. And almost 9 in the game for French Emperor. 6 in the game though for Renegade, and 2 towers fall after.
And you are finding success left and right. It was such a good start for Bill's Goons, but the problem they've been running into now, and it's just this coordinated play from Yodie gang, and it shows that the level that they, I don't even know if I want to use trust each other, but are playing off each other. I mean, Seagull is impeccable with walls and freezes. You're getting the same thing. Ollie with the setup, the taunts, things like that. It's providing so much. And all you need, I mean, Renegon's 6-1-3, right? And I don't know if I want to call it a sleeper 6-1-3, but like, I was kind of wondering what we were going to get to see out of the Hecate, because earlier today we didn't really get that great of a performance. This is why people pick her up. And with this lineup and this rally together, this team fight, these team plays that they're making, Bill's Goon just hasn't really had an opportunity to disrupt it and find their way in for a good fight.
No, and I guess it was early in the game when you're not grouping, it's a little disjointed. That's where the Loki can feast a little bit, pick them off one by one. Now that we've grouped up in team fight territory, it has just not looked close. Helm of Radiance now added to the build for French Emperor, which I think is one of the coolest item icons. I will say it's just a glowing golden helmet, just looks really sweet. Physical protection stacking up in build here for French Emperor. Physical protection, it's got a little bit of everything. 8-3 is going to be real tough to deal with. Nearly a steal from Bill's Goons, but instead it's almost 10 for French Emperor. Wonderful wall forces the jump away from Bill. And Seagull in on the chase down. Ring of Spears delays the inevitable. When you're as fast as Yodie gang is, you're not getting away anytime soon. What a read from French Emperor, and make it 10, an even 10 at 16 minutes for the Yodie gang jungler.
And you've got to talk about it in the stacks being finished, but I'm going to go back in because you had mentioned the Helm of Radiance. It just works so good against other Anutta, Bill, and Krakito, where anytime they hit you, you're just stronger. You can just chase them down better. And you had already mentioned it, but like, you're moving incredibly fast. You've got the Sunder, you've got CC and a stun, you've got good damage in your abilities. It kind of leaves this question of what are they gonna do to deal with you? How do they stop you? Where do they stop you? And overall, I don't know if they have a coordinated effort as an answer. I think that realistically, Loki, you know, he likes to hunt alone. He likes to get into the backline. He likes to find someone who's by themselves. And Yodie gang just aren't doing that often. Right now, yeah, Merca's all by themselves. Finally, an opportunity, but no one's going to be fighting over here. Not in this circumstance, not right now. So realistically, other Anutta hadn't been able to find that line to get those kills the same way we saw in game 1. And I still think Bill and Clino have great setup, but unfortunately, it seems like French Emperor and the rest on the side of Yodie Gang are just engaging too fast for them, that the counter engage feels a little awkward.
Yodie Gang have maintained their pace. That's a word I've been wrong about a little bit this game. Also maintained vision coverage, which is not something we've talked a lot about in SMITE 2, but this team has really liked the Eye of Providence, that item. It's a little pyramid with an eyeball in the middle. Basically gives you a ward every 60 seconds, as well as physical and magical prots and a little bit of health. So if you're gonna play around your team like you are, get that ward coverage out. Been prioritized a little bit differently, as we've talked about here in SMITE 2, but the item has paid off in a couple of the games we've seen so far here today. Tier 2 tower crumbles. Bill's Goons left wondering what in the world went on this game. You're not quite 20k down, but still pretty far behind in game 2 here for Miser. You're gonna need maybe a miracle play. Ring of Spears always feels pretty good underneath your own Phoenix. Aim blue, an opportunity for a transformation. But what's not gonna help is your jungler getting chased down on a teleport play from Yodie Gang. Nothing else other than Nutta left running.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy.
French Emperor found maybe the one player on the map who he's a little bit slower than. But what this opened up for is a tier 2 tower to just get shoved down by Yodie Gang. Bill's Goons find themselves split between mid, left jungle, and right. And it's an uncontested tier 2 tower for a little bit of extra pull.
They might go for a fight at 2v1 here, but I don't know if I actually like it for Bill's Goons, because the Athena's there.
Sure is. It'll be another one for French Emperor. This player's just too good. And that's why I was wrong. You know, I'm so smart. There's no way I was wrong analytically. It's just French Emperor transcends all of my thought process. That's
exactly.
That's what I'm going with. But 11-3-3 looks good no matter which way you slice it. French Emperor's been doing plenty of slicing on the Amaterasu. Bill's Goons. I mean, look, it's one thing when you get this like initiation, when it's a character that can jump in and engage on you. The French Emperor can do that, but he's also so fast that he's fed and he's fast, and he just runs you down. It's just a perfect combination for success here. But I think you gotta shift focus elsewhere as well. Sure, you deal with French Emperor, but you talked about the Hecate that's now really strong. Murka's right back in the same position, 0 kills but 9 assists, but still well underway in that build. All of Yodie Gang has just benefited from the way the last 10 or so minutes of this game went. And Gore, I don't know if there was like a clear pivot point in this game, but like the first 10 minutes were Bill's Goons. They were feeling great. They were up 3-4k. And Yodie Gang just started to find those fights.
You know, I think again it was a fight more or less on left, and even then, like you said, I don't know if I'd call it the most pivotal moment, because while it got Yodie Gang kills and kind of brought them back into the conversation, Bill's Goons were there the entire time. It's really these Gold Furies that have gotten out of hand, right? Once you do that a couple times, suddenly you've got enough gold that you're really just leading the way.
Biggest 5v5 of the game happening right now, and it's Renegade who gets jumped on, but Renegade survives with the help of the rest of his team. Massive Talisman of Purification for Yodie Gang, keeps him in the fight. Where's the dazzling offensive? One has given a double kill to Seagull. The other on the transformation is Bill's Goons. But who is it? It's Seagull on the triple kill on the Ymir out of the solo lane. And it's a deicide for Yodie Gang, and Gore, I think those death timers are long enough to close out this game on the 2-0.
They're gonna march in. It's Bill and Krakito that are going up first.
I can't be wrong anymore. Please, God. Please, God. I can't be wrong again.
Never mind. Yeah, no, they're burning through this Phoenix fast enough. They
Bill and
exactly
Krakito.
what they need.
Come
They're
on,
gonna go
please. I need it.
Can they make the defense is the question.
I need it. All right, they're at least going for it, so I feel vindicated either way. Bill and Krakito, they'll try, they'll fail, and Dave goes out with a win, as does Yodie Gang on the 2-0 victory behind their jungler.
They got ahead. Look, it maybe isn't as clean and crisp as game 1, yeah, but it is just as well done and well fought. I mean, just as a team, and that's what was really interesting. I think if you go back, you look at individual picks, and in game 1, when French Emperor had the ability and was playing a god that can get single picks, of course you're going to go for him. Amma doesn't necessarily stand out as one of those gods as much, but it didn't matter because you just play with the team and suddenly the floodgates open, right? I mean, you're talking about a 2-3 man death ball almost always. Who's in the 2 to 3 man death ball changes periodically, but they just had so much presence around the map together that it was really hard for other Anutta and pretty much anybody on Bill's Goons to find an opening to get something done.
I'm gonna bail myself out a little bit. It did take like 10 minutes for French Emperor to get going, which was
sure.
technically longer than game one. I thought it was going to take a bit longer than that even. So that's where I end up with some egg on my face. But clearly the game plan was strong, smart from Yodie gang. Maybe you know that you are sacrificing a bit of that minute one early game, but you're going to pick up a whole lot of it come the 10-minute mark. And once that pivot point got hit in the build, French Emperor was just unstoppable. Renegade, a wonderful game on the Hecate out of mid as well. Merca, the perfect, talk about the perfect duo lane KDA Gore for the rest of the team. 0 combined kills from the duo. But what, 31 combined assists on 5 deaths from the duo lane. Set him up, knock him down. This is a really fun team to watch. And as you progress forward for Yodie gang, building on this, again, these are the storylines early in SMITE 2 that are just getting created. You know, we only have so much to lean on. Next time we talk about Yodie gang, I'm going to be talking about the French Emperor and their ability to play a really fast brand of SMITE. And also, we're going to be talking about them in that 1-0 portion of our Swiss bracket, which, as a reminder, the teams that are playing here this weekend are going to separate themselves out into the 1-0 and the 0-1 portions of these brackets. So Titans Reloaded, Team Risk, and Yodie gang have all found their 2-0 victories in their first matchups in EMEA. The other matchup still going on off stream. So those 3 teams will find themselves up top in that 1-0 bracket. We'll randomly seed them once we know the outcomes of the other 4 EMEA games here this weekend, the other 5. And then the 4 losing teams will drop down into that 0-1 portion of the bracket where they will fight. And then you shift as your record goes onward from there. 3 wins is what you're looking for to go to the next stage. 3 losses is what you're hoping to avoid being knocked out of this one. So those were the 2 EMEA games we had for you on broadcast here today. As we mentioned, though, stick around because after this, we're going to be kicking things off with some NA. But Gore, tomorrow we got some good ones to start us off in EMEA. Smoke Break versus DDK, or the Disciples of Chaos. And then a fan favorite team in Giovanni Giorgio will be taking on another fan favorite team in Scorps. How about that one? That's Nika, Adapting, Dardes, Cozy, and Coast, Vaporish Coast on Giovanni Giorgio, playing against Kana, April, Rapio, Preds, and Davey in our 1 p.m. EMEA matchup tomorrow. That one's going to be a great one, so keep your eyes on 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. But coming up later today, Food Drive for Globe versus Look Within will take us into the North American Swiss, my God, I can't get it, Swiss portion of our bracket. And then Garf's Goblins versus the Employment LARPers after that. So, Gore, I want to just quick thoughts here on Food Drive for Globe. I think that's the one that I look at in this NA matchup. This was a team that really surprised us during that open portion. Karmic, Valo, Globe, Happen, and Tegveer. Remember, it was a team that we know of, but didn't quite have that SMITE 1 SPL world beater star power, but they have come to play here in SMITE 2. And one of the teams to beat for sure in this Swiss bracket.
Sure. Yeah, they are one of the strongest teams that I think we have right now, and so they're one that I'm watching with a lot of interest because, like you said, and this was maybe the point. I think I made it in week 1 where I kind of expected to see a lot of the teams that had players that were maybe familiar or even unfamiliar, right? Where they'd start to pick up because you're getting constant practice against what were ex-pros for SMITE 1. You're getting to learn a lot of this mechanical knowledge and value for SMITE 2 and learning the game, getting the items under your belt, things like that. I thought we'd be week 2 Swiss when we started seeing them take some really big games. And Food Drive for Globe did it pretty much instantly. They surprised me out the gate, and so I've been watching them very, very heavily since then.
Yeah, Gore, I didn't find a way to like naturally say this, so I'm just gonna ham-fist it in here right at the end.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how Bill. The first thing that comes to my mind is Bill's PC, which is maybe one of the most famous PCs in gaming because you store all your Pokemon there.
Okay.
And then I was going to try to tie that into Starforge PCs, and we found out that after all these years, the only thing powerful enough to store all those Pokemon on Bill's PC was a Starforge PC. There's something there, I promise. There's something there. And probably not a lot that we can say on our broadcast because that's not our game. I apologize. EMEA, it's over. North American portion of our Swiss bracket is coming up next. Stick around. You don't want to miss it.